What up, Raffle-ators? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back, Raffle Nation. This is Raffle Nation coming to you from Georgetown, Guyana. It's the 13th day of April 2020, and it's 6 weeks since our elections, the national elections here in Georgetown, Guyana. And the last time I gave you an update on the election, this election cycle, was 3 weeks ago, 3 weeks after the election cycle. And at 6 weeks, we still don't know the final result. There has not been a declaration of the winner. And so what I want to do today is to simply give you a follow-up from that video on 3 weeks ago. Now, I actually covered 3 topics. I introduced 3 topics in that video, and I'm going to give you a follow-up on each one of them. The first topic is the election cycle. What happened to the result? And so I gave you a summary of the current election cycle, the people involved. There are some inaccuracies. I'm going to bring you up to date on some of the inaccuracies. I think I forgot a couple of parties and a couple of candidates. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you what I call my awards delivery. I'm going to give you the people who should receive awards, various awards, from their performances in this election cycle. I actually throw this out to my friends and followers on Facebook. If you don't follow me on Facebook, you can connect with me on Facebook and on Instagram. I have an account on Instagram, Raf's Blueberry Group on Instagram, and Delano Raphael on Facebook, and a number of other Facebook pages that you can follow me. Follow me on Twitter as well. I'm going to leave the handles in the description below. But I threw out to my Facebook community the question of who should receive awards for this election cycle, and I'm going to address that. I also left one question hanging, and that is, what is my analysis, my statistical analysis of the election cycle, that is the current election cycle. Remember, I said that there's a statistical tie. Now, I actually arrived at that from doing a statistical analysis of this election cycle, results from this election cycle, and the 2015 election cycle, and that is how I arrive at the conclusion I made. I will tell you exactly who I voted for and why, and explain to you what I expect the ultimate outcome to be after the recount of these elections. And thirdly, I'm going to give you the update on the oil and gas industry. That is why the current prices of oil and gas don't really impact Guyana. Remember, we sold our oil in February 2020, and so the current drop in the price of oil doesn't really affect us. But I'm going to bring you the details on what to expect going forward as the oil industry goes through this turmoil, being hit by the coronavirus, as well as the price war between Saudi Arabia and Russia. But they're coming to an agreement now, and the price is going to stabilize going forward. We want to do an analysis of that. So those are the 3 things I want to talk about. All right, I'm going to bring you up to date on what's happening with the election cycle. I'm going to bring you up to date on who should receive awards for this election cycle, who are the outstanding performers. Remember, I gave you at the end of that video a clip about Mr. Lennox Schumann, candidate for the Labour and Justice Party, and he's going to receive an award for his representation of the American community. But I'm going to show you who else are the outstanding performers in this election cycle. So stay tuned.
Oh, this is my day. I'm ready to take it on, come what may.
Thought I would continue this the following day because it started raining yesterday and lost light. And when I looked at the video again, I saw there's a lot of reflections in my glasses, in my spectacles. So I decided to proceed without my glasses today, see if I can get better quality video without my glasses. And so the ties just show that, well, it's not the same day, it's another day, it's the second day. But here's my idea, or my argument. My argument beginning in this election cycle was that nothing really has changed since 2015. Therefore, we don't expect the results to be much different from 2015. There is a statistical tie between the 2 major political parties as far as the demographics and the supporters, the mass of support that they get from Guyana. And so what I want to do is to explain to you why we are here where we are, why it is that we are at a impasse, and what has happened. So the first thing is that since 3 weeks ago when I released that video giving you my impression of what transpired during this election cycle, there have been a number of court cases, a number of lawsuits have been filed. The most interesting and important one is the one by Ulita Moore, which was filed by a member of the coalition, that is, one of the candidates from the coalition government filed a lawsuit blocking the recount of votes by GCOM. And GCOM by now had decided that they were going to recount the votes. They agreed that they were going to recount the votes, right? There were a number of lawsuits that were filed when the last time we visited this issue. There was a lawsuit filed to block the recount of votes that was going to be supervised by CARICOM. And since then, that lawsuit has passed through the courts, and the verdict was that CARICOM does not have the right to supervise the recount in Guyana. However, the recount is entirely up to GCOM. And GCOM decided they are going to do a recount, a full recount. And then this person from the coalition government filed a lawsuit to block the recount. I don't know what the basis for, but they wanted the GCOM to release the results first, release and declare a winner before recounting the votes. And so that lawsuit was thrown out of court, and as GCOM was about to go ahead and complete the recount, an appeal to that lawsuit was filed. And so here we are, still waiting on the appeal of that lawsuit to work its way through the courts. But since then, GCOM has decided they're going to continue with the count, and that it's going to take them 156 days to count all of the votes for all the 10 regions. Now, the PPPC had decided they only want Region 4 to be counted. That is only Georgetown, Demerara, Mahaica. They only want that region to be counted because that was the region they claim was in question with Mr. Mingo and all the fiasco that so on that happened. However, the coalition wants all of the votes to be counted from all 10 regions, and I can understand why that would be necessary. That is, if you're going to count the ballots from Region 4, then for uniformity, you want to apply the same process to all 10 regions. So here we are on the 14th day of April, awaiting a full recount of the votes.
So you're speaking about your constitutional right, but the law also speaks about indecent exposure. Do you think that will apply to this case?
What is indecent exposure? Do you think that traditional attire is indecent exposure?
No, it's not what I think.
Well, I'm asking you a question. What is indecent exposure? Do you see anything here exposed indecently?
I can see your butt, sir.
You cannot see my. You can see my cheeks. There's a difference. Do you think that is indecent? Do you think that indigenous?
No, I'm just asking for your take on it.
Do you think that indigenous attire is indecent? Because that's what the question boils down to.
I am not the one stopping you from entering the court,
You're not, but
sir.
you're asking a question that needs to be interrogated. Last week we had one of our indigenous leaders from the National Two-Chance Council beaten and thrown in a trench on his way home. Why is that happening? Is anyone paying any attention to the unintended victims of this political war between the PDP and the PNC? The president didn't come out and say anything about that in his statement last night. The leader of the opposition said absolutely nothing.